excited this morning because I've come to see the Boat Building Academy at Lyme Regis. This is a place I've wanted to visit all my life, and everyone deserves a day off every so often, and I've taken one today so I can find out what's going on.
I'm one of the tutors. There are 4 boat building tutors here,
Yeah.
and I'm one of the 4. And actually I was here as a student more than 20 years ago.
And what have we got here?
This is what the students behind us are working on this week, and they're on about week 4 of their 40-week course. So they're still in the early days, in the 6-week foundation. And we just call this the clinker section. So this is a week's worth of work. It's about acquisition of technique. There are various things which the students are doing for the first time. It's the first time they do a lamination. It's the first time they do a halving joint. It's also the first time they bevel off the planks.
This would be a revelation, you know, to a lot of people, because you just see a clinker boat and you think, oh, well, that's bang them in. But there's so much more to it, isn't there? And these guys have got to learn all this. What have we got here then, Matt?
This is Francois Vivier. He's a French boat designer and naval architect. It's a Francois Vivier Eloure is the name of the boat. It's a sort of 16-foot Norman or Breton fishing boat. It will have a single mast and a simple lug rig.
Yep.
And it's actually being built glued clinker, upside down, over laminated mahogany frames. And if you want to glue...
It started with a chap called Tim Gedge. He was a commander in the Royal Navy, flew Harriers in the Falklands, and he had a passion for sailing and wanted to set up an establishment to train people to fill some of the holes in boat building around the UK, and it's been running successfully since 1997. This course is the 40-week boat building course. These guys are here for 40 weeks, full-time, 8:30 till 5:30 every day, but many of them do more hours than that. Essentially, the course is designed on taking a 5-year apprenticeship and squeezing it into a concise 40-week training programme, which is very intensive and immersive training. So they're covering lots of different areas of skills, and they're actually achieving a very high standard in each level because of the very focused, structured training that we offer. We're not saying that after those 40 weeks they're at the level of a master craftsman who's been boat building for many years. They've got a really solid foundation, which makes them highly employable. We have school leavers, we've got people in retirement, we've got career changers from the forces, the police, bankers, and most people are really training for industry. So our training is very much set up for training for jobs, to get people out there into jobs in the boat building industry. I get phone calls from people like Will Sterling in Plymouth and Spirit Yachts over on the East Coast, and they phone up and say, we've got a project coming up, have you got some good guys coming through who we can take on and get into work? So we've got people at loads of top yards all around the country.
Many years ago I came here as a geology student for the fossils, and I walked past and they had the roller doors open and I looked in and thought, it looks great, I'd love to do that. School, university, geology, and then didn't fancy the career path it was offering. So I went into organic farming in the end. Worked in South Devon on an organic farm with lots of sheep and vegetables. Worked for the Soil Association for a year in an office, which I hated. Moved home, but all the while was rowing gigs, the Cornish pilot gigs. The years passed and I was spending more time in boats, and then there was a kind of gap in my working life, and I thought, I'll come here.
I'm just trying to change career really, because I didn't know where the pandemic was leading, and this seemed a way of having adventures close to home. You know, I never did woodwork at school. Girls weren't allowed to, so I really missed all that, and metalwork. We had to go and do cookery and stuff. So I've always done a lot of stuff, ruined boats with power tools, so I thought I ought to really look after them properly and learn how to use hand tools. So this was a perfect timing, something I'd always wanted to do.
I come from the Isles of Scilly.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I was born over there.
What sort of family background?
Fishing, woodwork. My dad was a boat builder.
Yeah.
Yeah, carpentry and all that. After you finish school on Scilly, you have to go away for college, or you can do an apprenticeship and stuff, but I fancied coming here and learning a good skill, really.
Yeah. And will you go back to Scilly after?
Yeah, hopefully go back and set up my own, because there's plenty of boat work over there, so hopefully going to set up my own place over there.
What are you actually getting out of the course?
Learning how to do it properly and the proper way to do stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's given me a good background of what and how to do everything, really.
Okay. And is it fun living here?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah, it's lovely, yeah. All really nice and you get along really well, and so kind of like get your own another little family almost here, which is lovely.
My dream is really to build a British-based vessel that can go and bring back produce from around the Mediterranean or even across the Atlantic, sell it on British soil, because at the moment we're relying on various different European boats, which is fantastic. It's a lovely partnership to have.
Yeah, sure.
But I think the whole community agree that Britain needs a sail cargo vessel. So that I think is my long-term aim. But let's start with a little 12-footer and see how we get on. I think. Well, it's entirely financed by student fees. So the students pay to be here, and it was a not-for-profit business, it's now a charity. So what we're trying to do is to raise funds to provide bursaries for those students who otherwise couldn't afford to be with us. There are loads of people out there with loads of skills, high level of enthusiasm and commitment who can come in and they'll be brilliant students, but at the moment they can't do this sort of training because of the cost implication. Our bursary pot isn't large yet, but we're working on it and it's starting to grow. But any help we can get would be amazing.
Now then, Matt, how about this? What we've got ribbons here, haven't we?
We have indeed.
What sort of vessel is this and what's going on?
This is a tiny, tiny little inboard petrol-engined launch. It's very, very small. It's only about 10 foot long. The construction technique is carvel, and the masking tape, the stripes of masking tape.
Yeah, what's that about?
That's just as a guide to where to bend the steam frames. So steam frames and then carvel planking over the steam frames. What we do here, we try and have a mix of hull forms, a mix of propulsion systems, and a mix of construction types.
Yeah.
And so we've got a glued clinker boat and a trad clinker boat.
Yeah.
We've got an upside down carvel boat and a right way up carvel boat. And we've got a strip planking boat and a cold moulded boat. Without being ridiculous, we like to be slightly experimental to see what works and what doesn't work. And
What a visionary establishment. It's been fascinating finding out what motivates folk to come to Lyme Regis and build boats. Old skills and new are being nurtured here and preserved for generations still to come. It strikes me that William and his team are doing a job that goes beyond keeping wooden boat building alive and well. This place can enrich a life already full, or find a young life looking for a purpose and turn it round. There's not a lot to compare with building a boat yourself, then sailing it, on the sea, that defines our islands and pulls us all together.